Hey tax students, in this video let's prepare a tax return again, not by using the fillable PDF files or not using the simulations in our Cengage account, but this time let's prepare an online tax return using ProConnect Tax Online. So for those of you who took Accounting 134 last semester, we did a couple returns using ProConnect, but let's do return again, this time preparing a Schedule C, and for one we already did back in our Cengage account, and that's this Gordon Temper information here. And I have a link in our assignments folder so you can download this easier to read PDF file versus having to go back into the Cengage account. Yeah, so I'm going to be working off of this information here. So let me click on that ProConnect link. For those of you continuing from last semester, you should already have a ProConnect account. If not, I have a link in the assignment folder, in the assignment, to create a ProConnect account, where here you would use your email address and password. I'm not sure you can use this link down here to create an account, yeah, because right now, at least in my account, I don't see the educational URL address. But let me go ahead and sign in. And you gotta make sure you end up at a site called taxeducation.intuit.com. Otherwise, you may be in the professional version of the software. Here in this educational version, at least in this tax section, it should be rather short menu items, yeah? You don't see anything for e-filing, electronically filing, just creating tax returns or creating new clients. So if I click on clients, you can see the taxpayers I've already created, including the one we're going to work on, this Gordon Temper again. Remember, we already did it one time in the simulation in Cengage. So if I click on the, well, you need to create Gordon in your ProConnect account, so you can click on Add Client. So I'm just going to open up my Gordon screen here. We don't have any returns yet for him. Let's say I want to edit him, edit his information. So you already would see this information when you create him, create the client. Yeah, then you can come back here to make any changes. So let me save, and from this screen I can create a new return for Gordon, or some other things here, yeah, for Gordon. But instead of creating it here, let me go into the tax return screen here, tax returns, and I'm in 2022. Got to make sure you're in the correct year. I don't have any 2022 returns yet. But if I go back to the previous year, 2021, here's those couple of returns we did last semester. But I'm going to prepare not a 2021, but 2022. Maybe later this semester, we'll do a corporate tax return, 1120, or a partnership return, 1065. But for now, we're doing a 1040, yeah? Well, we'll pick 1040 when we pick Gordon. So let's create a return, either here or here, and pick Gordon from my client list. And then we're going to be doing a 1040 form, not these other types of returns. Making sure you pick the correct year. So let me change the name of the tax return. Here automatically you can see the name of the taxpayer, but I'm going to add in the tax year also. So just by looking at this tax return name, I know it's for Gordon and I know it's for 2022. I click on Save. And here I'm in the first screen for Profile. So we're just doing a federal tax return for him. And if I wanted to prepare a state return, I could pick the state from this drop-down list, or multiple states I could pick. We'll just do the federal here for Gordon and move on to the main input screens here. So in this beginning screen, you can see the breakdown of information. Yeah, the main one here is for income or deductions or tax credits. And you may see this off into another menu off to the side here eventually. Well, let's go into this client information here. So this was pretty much set up when we created Gordon's account. And you can make changes from here also, yeah? He doesn't have any dependents. We went through that the first time we did this tax return. So let's just jump to income items. And the first one would be wages. And this whole screen here would be just one W-2. And you can see it goes down a long way to take into account all the different possibilities of stuff you would see on his paper W-2. Or in our case, here, his PDF version of the W-2. So I just need to duplicate everything here on this screen here, yeah, for ProConnect. And if I have another W-2, I will just add it here with this plus button. And then if I want to get rid of it, I will click on the X for that tab and confirm. But let's go ahead and enter the employer's ID number that I see on the W-2 form, 379019012. And when I enter or tab, it'll tell me enter employer. Well, that's state. Let me change that and put it up here. Employer ID number. Enter or tab. And it tells me something's wrong. You cannot find this value. It's actually checking for legitimate employer ID numbers. And this is not a valid number, but I'm going to just ignore that because this is just a simulation. Let me close this window here and enter the employer's name that I see on the PDF version. Tenderloin of Laramie in 2400 Grand Avenue. I'm not going to double check my spelling here, yeah, but you should do so on your return, making sure it's accurate. Okay, so that's the address, no foreign address. This is for Gordon, not any spouse. Wage income in box 1. I see 21,000. Tab takes me to the next box, the federal income taxes withheld of 1,600. And I can tab. Here, the Social Security wages automatically copied from box 1. And if it's different on your form, you should change it right here. Yeah, mine is the same, so I'll keep it. It's automatically calculating out the Social Security tax that matches my return. Here, the Medicare wages are the same as box 1. And then the tax again, I confirm that it's the same as what I see on my paper form. Again, if it's different, then you fill in what you see on the paper here on the ProConnect screen. And I'm looking at my PDF, and that's the only thing I see. That's it. I don't need to fill in all of these other fields here. Okay. And if I want to take a look at the tax return already, I can click on this Preview Forms button. And here is a whole tax return, just only reporting Gordon's W-2 income, W-2 information. And if I jump to the 1040, you can see his 21,000 wages and the tax already. The tax is already paid and this refund here, yeah. But we still need to enter more information into the return. So let me just minimize that screen. Again, if I need to have another W-2, I just click on this plus button to either add another tab. Always take a look at up here. There may be more menu items just for this W-2 information. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to interest income coming from his 1099 INT. So one row would be 1099. As you fill in one row, another row would open up for a second 1099 form. So the name of the bank is Invest Corp Bond Fund. We don't need taxpayer spouse since it's only him, the taxpayer. And the amount in box 1 I see is 3,200. Now, if you have more detail you need to enter coming from the 1099 that you see here in this one row, you can always open up the screen by clicking on this details button. Now this whole screen is just for that one 1099 form. Again, we don't need to enter anything here. Even though I see stuff like, what else do we see? Well, let me go back to that quick entry screen, clicking on this button. Again, one row per 1099. This is specifically for interest income. Now I have a 1099 DIV, so let's go to the dividend screen here. And just like interest, one row per company paying out dividends. So I'm looking at my PDF file, 1099 DIV, Invest Corp. Again, I'm not checking my spelling, which I should be doing in real life, or in your case, our homework assignment. Equity fund. And then the three amounts I need to enter. 5678. I'm going to type in the cents. And when I tab, the computer automatically rounds it to the nearest dollar. Qualified dividend. Watch what happens when I type in this amount with 67 cents. And when I tab, it rounds up to the next dollar. Yeah, 50 cents and over, round up to the next dollar. And I think that's it. And again, if you cannot fit in everything in this one line, you can always open up this details screen. Here it's asking for the payer's ID number. And I see it on my W-2. I don't need to really enter it because it doesn't show up on the tax return, but I'm going to enter it anyway. Payer's ITIN. Payer's taxpayer information number 42 13 13 445. Okay. Then go back to this quick entry screen. And then another row 2 if you need to enter the next 1099 DIV, which I don't have any. So let's move on to the next item of income. So if I go back to the instructions, I remember that he had received alimony, $300 per month. So here is alimony. So I click on it, and I'm looking for the alimony right here. Alimony in this box. Click on button to expand. So I click on it. Alimony received. Can I do math here? That's $300 per month times 12. So I enter a tab and it does the math for me here. He got divorced on January 1st, 2017. We're not given January 1st, but use that date. We are given the 2017, yeah? Okay, we don't need any pre-2019 agreement. It is going to be taxable, yeah, this amount, because it's prior to 2018. Was it yeah, before 2019. Okay. And just to make sure the alimony is there, the interest and dividends are there, let's take a look at the previous screen. Click on this refresh forms button. And then jump to the 1040 form here. So again, the wages are here, subtotaled in this line 1Z. Interest income, ordinary dividend, qualified dividends off to the side. Line 7 is capital gain distribution. And here's the alimony in line 8. Okay, but I still need to enter it now. The main thing we're learning in chapter 3 is business income. Let me minimize this screen here. His Schedule C income. Right here, business income, Schedule C. So one tab here would be one Schedule C. And if you need another business here, using this plus to get another tab. Notice the tabs up here. All of this is just for this one business that we need to enter right here. Principal, business, profession. I'm going to use the information that's given to us in the simulated return we finished already. Yeah, that was food truck, food truck. And if I take a look at the business codes, it's under this food service, drink and place, and then food service, drink and place. This last one here, special food service, it puts in the number that you'll see eventually on the Schedule C. The name of his business was called Mobile Peri Peri. We're going to use the same address that he uses for his 1040, so we can leave this blank. Accounting method, he's using cash method. Inventory is recorded at cost. This is for him, the taxpayer. We are not going to issue, we're assuming we not issue any 1099s. That's his business issuing out 1099s to other businesses. Okay, inventory. I'm looking at, of course, the shaded box here with all these numbers, yeah, for his Schedule C. So inventory change, or no, don't need that. He did materially participate, so if there's a loss, he gets to deduct it. Yeah, here it says did not, so I'm not going to check it off. Personal service. Okay, we can leave all of this blank. Let's move on to this income statement, the revenue and expense or deductions here, entered on this tab. So the big number, gross receipts, that's 78,000 of revenue. No returns and allowances. We're not going to put any W-2 income on this Schedule C. No other income on Schedule C. Okay, here's inventory. He starts off with 5,600 of food at the beginning of the year. And then during the year, he bought 43,000. Now, if he had used some of this food for his own consumption, or he gave away to his family or friends, you have to reduce this purchases here. Otherwise, you would be artificially, illegally increasing the cost of goods sold and reducing his taxes. Yeah, we're not given anything for that. He's not hiring anyone to cook for him, so no labor costs. We assume any materials, any type of goods to serve, consumables is already included in this purchases, so we don't need to fill in this line here. And then ending inventory, what he's not going to deduct that he bought during the year. He'll put this as his beginning inventory next year and deduct it next year, yeah? Okay, so let's go through the other expenses. Advertising, we're told, is 500. Insurance, that's 3,000. What else do we have? Office expense, 400. This is listed in alphabetical order. And then rent. We have two lines for rent. One for vehicle, that's his truck rent of 24,000. And other here would be the office rent, 8,600. And then I have uniforms. On the actual Schedule C, you don't see a specific line for uniforms, but it's going to eventually go into this other expense, yeah, down here on the back side of Schedule C. But let's enter it here anyway. Uniforms is 200. I don't see a line. Is there a line for dues? Sometimes it's called dues and subscriptions. Here it is. Let's put it there. 100. And then food license. Sometimes it's called tax and license. I don't see any license here alphabetically. How about under taxes here? It says tax and license. I could put other here, but let's use this line way down at the bottom. Other expenses. Click on button to expand. So I click on the field and it opens up this window, and I'm going to type in the description I see, food license, and the amount is 450. And if I have another expense that doesn't fit into the regular categories, I could type in the label and the amount here, and it'll subtotal for me, and eventually I re-enter it on the Schedule C. You can see that subtotal of just one amount. Yeah? Let's look at the Schedule C. So I click on the Refresh Forms, and let's jump to the Schedule C form. And as you can see, we end up with a loss. I think I forgot this travel, 1,600. But as I mentioned in the previous time we did this return, not all of his travel costs is deductible, mostly because it's outside of the US here, South African cruise. What we get to deduct is any costs during the time he was on business. I guess a seminar, which was only 1 day, and his lodging for 1 day is 300, so we can deduct 300 out of the 2 or 3 days he was on the cruise or snow skiing, and then $100 for that 1 day for meals. Yeah, during 2022, I believe restaurant business meals 100% deductible. Also, business meals during business travel 100% deductible. I believe the percentage will go down to 50% deductible in 2023. That's the old pre-pandemic percentage. Yeah? But I'm going to deduct 300 for travel. That's the lodging, and 100 for business meals. So let's find that in the ProConnect screen. Let me collapse this screen. And then let's see, travel. That's 300 for 1 day. Not 50% meals, but here 100% meal category. $100 for 1 day. And let's refresh that form again. Jump to the Schedule C. Oh, it's right here. And my loss, and you can confirm by looking at your Cengage homework assignment for this return, should be 450. That's going to be carried to Schedule 1 and combined with the alimony, and then subtotaled and re-entered back on the 1040 form as other income line, right here in line 8. Okay, grand total of income. My mouse just went dead. I think my battery is gone. I need to use my trackpad here. Grand total income, subtracting out the standard deduction for single filing status to get the taxable income. Now, because our income includes qualified dividends and capital gain distributions or long-term capital gains, those two types of income, this one and this one, gets taxed at lower rates. So we cannot just look up this 21,000 figure in the tax table or tax rate schedule. That would be normal, regular rates. So here we have a worksheet or worksheets. One of them is a qualified dividend and capital gain worksheet. Here's the taxable income, and it backs out the qualified dividend and capital gain, leaving you just the income tax at regular rates. So the computer goes through this worksheet, figuring out what's the tax on those qualified dividends and capital gains, it's really going to be zero because our total income, taxable income, is below the minimum threshold for single filing status. So this tax here at the bottom is really just a tax on this income up here, the regular income. And it's carried back to the 1040 form here at the top of the 1040 page 2. And we've already paid $1,600 through his withholdings. So he gets a big refund of $50. Again, you can confirm by taking a look at the your homework assignment when we first did this return back in the Cengage See Now account. Let's have the computer check our work by clicking on this check return link here. Even though we may get errors, it probably doesn't apply to most of what we're doing here for our homework. Critical diagnostics have to be cleared if you want to electronically file your tax return, which we're not doing. We're just going to turn in the PDF file for this tax return. So let's see, the EFIN number, electronic filing identification number, is used by professionals to e-file. So if you don't have an e-file number as a tax preparer, you cannot submit tax returns for other people. Occupation is missing. Oh, we need to put that in, yeah. I thought we would put that in when we first set up the client. So what is he? What are we told that he does? I guess I guess we could put down his business, yeah. But let's use an occupation that was used in our previous assignment that was already entered for us on the 1040 form, and that is chef. So let me refresh my diagnostics here. That should clear up that one of the 8. Should be down to 7 now. It still says it's missing that occupation. Let me go back here to the input screen. I'm in the input screen here without the diagnostics now. And then tab or enter. Then go back to check return, and now it's down to 7. Anything regarding e-filing we can ignore. Paid preparer, they need to have something called a PTIN number. Yeah, even if well, all professional tax return preparers need a PTIN number. All people preparers electronically filing returns need an EFIN number. That's this first one here. PTIN is the second one. Paid preparer, again, need a number, a PTIN number. Paid preparer information is missing. I tell you what, let's see if when you first set up your account, you're going to show up automatically by default, I think, here at the bottom of the 1040. We'll see when we generate the PDF file. Okay, EFIN, e-file, PIN. Again, we're not going to do a real return here. So we're not an original creating the electronic return. Yeah, so we can leave that blank. I'm going to leave the third party blank. There may be a default name there to prepare, but we'll see what happens when we generate the PDF file. And tax return signature date by default is going to be today's date that I'm generating the return. So if I click on file return now, again, we're not e-filing. I don't see an e-file option here. I'm going to create a PDF version of the file to be turned in for our homework assignment. So print complete. Let's do the whole return here and then create the PDF. And then download. So cover letter, let's jump to the 1040 form. Okay, this is all one file, yeah, that you're going to be submitting. So again, let's review. Single filing status, Gordon's name and social security number, his address, official address with the IRS. There's no presidential election campaign checked off. There was no cryptocurrency being received or earned or sold during the year. No dependents, wage income, interest income, dividend income, other income that includes, capital gain distribution and other income that includes mostly the alimony, but a small loss for the business. AGI, standard deduction, taxable income that's looked up or worked on the worksheet to get this tax. That's the only tax. And here he already had withheld $1,600 on his W-2 to get a $50 refund. His occupation is chef. Notice that you're the preparer down here by default. Okay, and then other forms or schedules. This is the form the taxpayer would sign off, giving us permission to electronically file, which we're not doing. Again, the 1040 form. Schedule 1. Oh wait, Schedule 1. I'm jumping around here. Schedule 1. Schedule B, interests and dividends. Schedule C, again, the main thing we're learning in our chapter. There's no qualified business income deduction that we're going to learn in chapter 4 because there's a loss. But the loss needs to be kept track of to reduce any qualified business income deduction for future years. Again, we'll learn this in chapter 4. There's no worksheets here since this is I guess a filing copy. Okay, so you're going to download the file. Here's my download button. And you're going to save it to wherever you want to save it. And then re-upload it into our Laulima site by the due date. Okay, so if you have questions, shoot me an email. Okay, talk to you later.